Hello everybody and welcome to Sin City Living. My name is Jason. I'll be bringing you today's episode. As always, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. I want to give a couple quick little informational things. First, to all the fans that ask us about being able to tip the channel to show your appreciation and help us out. We still have the buy us a coffee function. I really appreciate all those coffees you guys have bought us. As you know, all three of us live off coffee. Just check the description of the video down below for a link to that if you are interested. But also, YouTube has now added a new function, a thanks button, right at the bottom of our videos. So if you appreciate what we're doing or appreciate the video we put out, please hit that thanks button, drop us a little bit. And if not, no worries. We appreciate all you guys watching. Second, we have our live streams coming up. They're going to be every single week on Tuesdays at either 1 or 2 o'clock, probably 2 o'clock. Some days I pick up the kid, I may do it at 1, but I'll let you guys know in advance. And once a month we will be doing a charity one. So this first one is going to be towards charity. After that will be our regular live streams. If they go well, we'll continue to keep them on YouTube. If not, we'll shift them over to our patrons. For most of them, we'll still do the occasional one on YouTube. And with that in mind also, please join us as one of our patrons. Just check again the description of the video down below for some links to that. And we have exclusive videos that we put up there all the time. Things we don't put on the regular channel, including the entire How to Deal Craps course. So with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into today's video.
Okay, folks, so you guys might be wondering why I'm posting a video that's basically redoing the live stream that I did yesterday. Hopefully I'm posting this again tomorrow. And the reason is because, well, I kind of colossally screwed it up. I could not get the volumes figured out at the beginning and the issues that were going on with that. I eventually figured it out, but at that point, the first half hour of it was basically unwatchable. So, well, I considered it a live stream fail because we didn't get a lot of people on there, and nobody did any kind of donations because it was supposed to be, I was really hoping for a charity live stream. Because I screwed it up so badly, I figured I would kind of do a second chance kind of thing, and sort of redo it. Since it's not a live stream, we don't have the super chats, super stickers. But again, to rehash things, I'm doing the live streams every single month or every single week. If they prove successful, I'm going to try it out for the next few weeks. There won't be charity ones. There'll be regular live streams. Hopefully, craps tournament ones, if I can get some players. Nobody's really emailing me on this right now. If I can get some players that are interested at either 1 or 2 p.m. on Tuesday, being my players, then we'll definitely do the craps tournament thing. But once a month we'll do a charity one, and I'm more than happy to do any charities that you guys are interested in out there. Anything that's near and dear to your heart, please email me, let me know. This particular one is on autism, and it's kind of a second chance thing for anybody that might want to donate. There's no pressure, guys. We just appreciate you guys tuning in and watching these videos. But if anybody wants to donate, since we don't have the live stream abilities, what we do have is YouTube has added this thanks button at the bottom that supposedly is a way for people to donate to the channel, or buy us a cup of coffee and just follow the link down below. And in the notes, when you do that, put in there that it's from the charity stream, and we'll earmark that money over to the charity. And the charity that we're doing this time around is the Autism Science Foundation. And the reason I picked the Autism Science Foundation is because it's one of the few autism charities that doesn't talk about looking for a cure, right? They're more interested in just the science of it and how to help people with autism. Now, this is near and dear to my heart because my stepson, is autistic. He's high-functioning autistic. He's extremely smart, but he is autistic. And as we did more research into autism, my wife, who is 3 credits shy of her psychology degree, pointed something out to me that as I continued to do my research, I realized that, yeah, she's most likely right in the fact that I am probably also on the autism spectrum. And the thing is, as I was researching it, I discovered that a lot of people are. 1 in 59 males are on the autism spectrum, somewhere on there, typically on the higher functioning side of it. It's a 4-to-1 male to female ratio on the statistics, but science has shown that it's probably a 3-to-1 ratio. Women are just harder to diagnose because a lot of it is social. A lot of the diagnoses is social. Now, the reason that I didn't want a charity that is focused on curing autism is because it's not necessarily something that needs to be cured. On the lower end, the lower functioning nonverbal autistics and such like that, we absolutely need some more science and some more resources, some more help on being able to identify it at a younger age and being able to help them modify the behavior through those developmental years to be able to get to a higher level of function to be able to lead a normal life at some point. But on the higher functioning side of things, as I'll go over a little bit later, I want to be able to do some of these CRAP strategies and stuff. So in between, I'm gonna talk a little bit about autism and the stuff behind it. I'll show you how a lot of the high functioning side of autism actually has done some amazing things for our world, for our society. Those people, because of the neurodivergent, and nowadays neurodivergent also covers ADHD and some other mental things, but initially it was just autism. And they go with neurodivergent because the brain is just working a little bit differently. They see things differently. But some of the signs and some of the common factors of autism actually really lend themselves well to science and to research, also to music and to performing arts sometimes, depending on which of the symptoms of autism may show up. I have quite a few of them, unfortunately. But yeah, it's very prevalent. It's out there. 1 in 59 males. We have over 2,000 subscribers on this channel. The majority, 98-point-something%, are male. That means there's somewhere roughly 30 to 40 of our subscribers are probably autistic. I guarantee every single one of you know people that are autistic that don't even know it, that you don't even know they are autistic. Or if you might be on that spectrum and not know it also, because on the higher functioning side of things, they tend to blend in as they get older because they typically have higher level of intelligence and they learn. They learn to fake behavior. They learn to mimic behavior that they see. They still don't fully understand it, but they learn to mimic it in order to blend in. So a lot of the things that really stand out starts to smooth out. That's why it's very difficult to diagnose adults with autism spectrum disorder. I actually am going to see if I really am. I mean, I'm pretty sure I am, but I'm actually going to see a professional at some point and see if I get diagnosed or told I'm not. But most people don't know. There's a slight bit of awkwardness, a little bit of awkwardness. They just don't quite fit in, stuff like that. That's very, very much a sign of it that most people don't know. We all know multiple people that are a little bit awkward. They don't quite fit in. They're a little bit different. They don't respond to things quite the same way. They're a little bit weird to talk to sometimes. We all know people like that. Probably friends with some people like that. They're still great freaking people. So that's why I don't necessarily think that I want to find a charity that is trying to cure autism. So with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and go into the first strategy, and then afterwards I'm going to talk about some famous people that are autistic. So this one's a strategy that I found on YouTube actually, and they called it the 6 and 8 Fun. Now they did it with a $900 bankroll, which is a little bit different because they're actually only looking for 5 shooters worth. Whereas most of the time you're looking for 10 shooters worth of bankroll. At least that's the conventional wisdom from most players. I can't say that I play with that amount every single time, but I'm also not looking to play for all that long. So conventional wisdom, 10 shooters worth of bankroll. However, in this case, it actually kind of works because of what they are betting. So they wait till there's a point established, and then they do 180 action. They do a $90 6 and a $90 8. Okay. Now, this is why I say that the 5 shooters worth is not exceptionally terrible in this particular instance, because you're looking at if you take out the 7s, because of course you're not shooting for 7s, so you're always hoping for rolls that continue on. There's 30 combinations of the dice that don't lose, 30 non-losing combinations. 10 of those combinations are covered right in here, right within these two numbers.
Additionally, so that's a 1 in 3 chance of these hitting. Additionally, this is actually one of those strategies that actually tries to win money. And what I mean by that is that, as we've talked about in a couple other videos, and I'm going to have some more videos coming soon that touch on this subject, most people, when they play craps, are not trying to win. They are trying not to lose. And there's a big difference, because when you're playing to not lose, you don't really have a win condition or a well thought out win condition. You know, in general, you're looking for a roll where one number, and you know, any random number, most people are playing all the numbers, but you're looking for one number to roll, you know, 7, 8 times, even 6 times, and that should give you a sufficient win in order to exit the game. If it runs 7, 8, 9 hits of the same number, then absolutely you should have hit sufficiently to exit the game. Power Presser would have made thousands, and then as it continues to go. So, but a lot of people, their strategies are not based around that. I can't tell you how many people I see catch a 40-minute roll and keep playing afterwards because they didn't win enough. And we had a couple of people say, well, you know, six hits is extremely rare. Absolutely it's rare, but that's the whole point. That's what you're playing for. You're not playing for the 2 rolls and out, unless you're playing the dark side or a hop in the 7 type strategy. You're playing for the exceptional rolls. You're playing for the rolls that go beyond the norm. And if anybody's ever played on a repeater side bet table, you would know, for any length of time, that you would know that these outside the odds hits, they happen, and they happen with some regularity. The 6 and 8 only needs 6 hits of either one to pay on a repeater, and it pays 90 to 1. So your $1 bet on the 6, you'd get $90. And I tell you, when I dealt on a repeater table, we were paying out a repeater number hit every few rolls. Now, I'm not saying it's a 6 or 8. You know, you only needed 2 12s, but it seemed like we were paying it out every few rolls. So, you know, and I've had rolls of 14 6s coming out. So it happens, and that's the whole point. And what I like about this one is that this one is actually going for, it does actually have a win condition. A lot of strategies, such as the classic Iron Cross, they don't even hit the break-even point until they have hit 6 rolls. 6 rolls of the dice, 6 hits of their numbers, and Iron Cross hitting on every number. 6 rolls of the dice just to break even, which means that just to break even, they have to have an exceptional roll. It has to make it beyond the statistical likelihood of the rolls. Now, this strategy is not betting every single number, but within these numbers, it's theoretically possible to hit your exit strategy fairly quickly, and definitely hit your break-even point fairly quickly. Let's take a look at this as if you had 6 hits, and the beauty of this is he sister presses. So you don't actually need 6 hits of the same number. 6 hits between the 2 numbers may be sufficient for an exit strategy. So let's take a look. Let's take a look and see. So it pays 105. Actually, I better do it this way. Pays 105. And he will sister press, so he's going to press both his bets up to 120. Okay? So that's hit number 1. Hit number 1 goes up to 120. So hit number 2 is going to go to 150 each. That's hit number 2. Hit number 3 is going to pay 175. They're going to go to 180. Hit number 4. Now 180 is going to pay 210. And they're actually going to go to 210. That's hit number 4. Hit number 5. That pays 245. So we'll make 250. For 5, and they are going to go to 240 each. Now let's look at hit number 6. That's going to pay 280, and they're going to go to 270 each. So 6 hits. 6 hits between the 2. Could have been 3 and 3, could have been 4 and 2, could have been 1 and 5. 6 hits between the two. And this strategy has $795. $795 that it has racked up into its bankroll. That means it's somewhere around the third hit, they were already breaking even. That's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. And 6 hits, and they're not only in the positive, they should be at a walking away point. $900 bankroll to buy in. They win $795. So unless they're very, very deep, maybe they've lost 500 already, theoretically, and if you've lost 500 and you hit to this point, you should walk away with your couple $100 win. But if you only lost, say, 100 or 200 so far, you're definitely at a win condition. You throw in a 7th hit, because what are we at? 270. 270, so that's $315. $315. And these are going to go to 300 each. So a 7th hit just between the two. Seven hits between the two numbers, and we are sitting on $1,050 in the bankroll. I mean, this is actually a pretty good strategy. 6 and 8 fun. This is not a bad strategy at all. I like the strategy. People could play this and have a legit chance at winning, which is rare for most strategies. So, yeah, this is an interesting one. I have to admit, I am kind of a fan. I really am. So, yeah, there we go. The 6 and 8 fun. So let's go, before I go into the next strategy, let's go ahead and have a little talk about the subject of the charity for today. So, welcome back, people. We are now going to talk about some famous people that are autistic. Either have been absolutely diagnosed as autistic or very likely to be. So, here we go. Dan Aykroyd, the actor. He was diagnosed with Asperger's, which originally was considered a separate disorder from autism. They were actually discovered independently at approximately the same time. But when more research was done on autism, the higher functioning level of it, they realized that Asperger's was just one aspect of it. Basically, it's one aspect of high functioning autism disorder that has a certain specific set of the symptoms of it. So Dan Aykroyd was diagnosed with Asperger's. I believe he actually got kicked out of a couple schools when he was a child. And he talks about how he used his experiences as an autistic child growing up and as an adult to kind of shape his Ghostbusters character, which, when you think about it backwards that way, actually kind of makes sense. Another famous person that was very likely to have been autistic, Charles Darwin. Based on research from psychologists that did research on Charles Darwin and accounts from people near him, plus his own personal logs and diaries and letters he wrote, things like that. Very likely he was on the autism spectrum disorder. Physicist Paul Dirac is a high-functioning autistic. Albert Einstein, very likely, very likely was autistic. Bobby Fischer, probably doesn't surprise a lot of people. Bobby Fischer shows a lot of signs of autism spectrum disorder. One that surprised me, Daryl Hannah, the actress, diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and has been an advocate through most of her life for research and awareness of ASD. Barbara McClintock. Most of you guys probably have not heard of her. I wanted to bring her up because she is a Nobel Prize winner. So Nobel Prize winning geneticist that also has autism. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Very likely to have been autistic. The thing about autism spectrum disorder, especially on the higher functioning end, is a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times they show increased intelligence, or at least increased intelligence in certain areas. Mathematics tends to be the one that pops up the most. Music is basically a form of math. So, Mozart.
Isaac Newton, very likely to have been autistic. Nikola Tesla, also very likely. Anthony Hopkins has been diagnosed with, I think, ASD, not Asperger's, but because they still get diagnosed as, people will get diagnosed with Asperger's, but it's actually ASD. So, but he was diagnosed with ASD. Dr. Vernon Smith, he's another one you guys probably haven't heard of, but I want to bring him up because he's an economist and is a Nobel Prize-winning economist. So there's so many people with this perception that autism is basically the politically incorrect retard. That's not true. That's not true. In general, autism spectrum disorder has increased intelligence. What they have is decreased social awareness and decreased social abilities, and we're going to talk about those later on. Another one, very likely, this one has not been diagnosed, but very, very likely, Elon Musk. So just with this list, and on the next break in between strategies, I'm going to talk about some more famous people that are likely, but they may not be, and some fictional characters that are very likely to be autistic. But with this list of people that are either confirmed or basically almost guaranteed to be autistic, one thing you notice, 2 Nobel Prize winners, a grandmaster chess champion, Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, Nikola Tesla, Elon Musk. 2 Nobel Prize winners. I already said that, I know, but it's just so amazing. 2 Nobel Prize winners. These are people that throughout history or in modern times are shaping and changing our world. Autism is not retarded. Autism is not necessarily a negative thing. It is not in any way, shape, or form. There are some struggles with it, and depending on where on the functioning level people land, but these are the people that have, I mean, Charles Darwin, Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein, those are 3 people that pretty much are the foundations of most of our modern sciences. Almost, just look around the room right now. Look at all the technology that is around you, and chances are that they came about because of scientific advancements that were created by Isaac Newton or Albert Einstein. It's almost a guarantee. Without those 2 and what they did for science all that time ago, we wouldn't have so many of the things that we have right now. Then you got people like Elon Musk that are just the next wave, and some people that I'll talk about on the next break. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the next strategy. I don't want to bore you guys with this. So this strategy I found on the internet. They called it the Holy Grail. They did it with a $1,000 buy-in, which is actually kind of a small buy-in for the level of aggression that they show in their strategy. And it's a very, very basic strategy. I did not watch the entire video. Honestly, it kind of bored me. But I did watch enough of the video to get the gist of what they are doing. So that's the pass line. That's the field. And then he places every number. However, he does the extremes, the 4 and 10, for 25 each. The rest of them he does at 75 or 90. So what he is trying to do with this strategy, and if I recall, there were no odds on that pass line bet because they were really pushing for the place bets. So if you're not the shooter, you may not even play a pass line bet. I don't know why you would. Now, the thing is, with this strategy, as I was looking at it and as they presented it, I have to admit I was not a big fan of the strategy because of 2 reasons. And the setup is not bad. It's how they execute it that I was not a fan of. First off, I'm not a fan of this. You've already got every number that is likely to roll and does not pay you even money. So placing the field or playing the field just for those random 2s, 3s, 11s, and 12s is pretty foolish. Yes, you're going to get double paid on the 4, 9, and 10, but pretty minor. And it's not really what you're looking for. So, you know, if you really want to hit those 2, 3s, 11s, and 12s, why not just do a $5 horn high yo or $5 horn high ace deuce, something like that, instead of doing this $25 waste every single time. One thing I do like about this is it's kind of the pyramid. Kind of the pyramid that similar to a strategy that we've done in the past, the pyramid strategy. which makes sense because you kind of angle your money into the areas where it's most likely to roll. You've got 10 combinations of the 30 non-losing combinations of the dice. 10 of them are right here. Another 8 of them are right here. So you have 18 of the non-losing combinations of the dice right here. Over 50%. You actually have 50% of all the combinations of the dice, but you have over 50% of the non-losing combinations of the dice. So those are most likely to hit. So I like it. I like it. The second part that I did not like is the fact that they are regressors. They regress at a certain point. And there's nothing wrong with regression strategies. They've got their place, and depending on what your goal is for how you were playing, you might want to do a regression strategy. You know, if you're looking to just grind out or just play for a long period of time, then regression strategies are not a bad strategy. If you're actually trying to win, regression strategies are designed more to try not to lose. They try and pull back as fast as possible so that they no longer have any risk in that particular shooter, try and recover their initial bankroll or initial investment into the shooter. The problem with that is that you're putting yourself behind. And as people have already pointed out, you know, that 6 and 7 hits of any individual number is rare enough as is. When you have to, if you are regressing, when you have to get 8, 9, 10 hits just to make the same amount of money as, say, a mid-presser, not even counting the power presser, you're almost never going to catch up to. The odds start getting even worse for you. Instead of catching that 25-minute roll, you have to catch that 50-minute roll in order to theoretically hit your exit strategy. And let's just look at it with the 6 and the 8. Okay, let's take a look at the 6 using a regression. Okay, using a regression. So I know they did not regress the first time. They may have done a minor press, so I'm going to go ahead and give them a small press. Okay, I'm going to pull this down because we just want to look at what we can win off of this stuff. Okay, so a small press. Okay, and then the second time it hits, they go down to 30. They go down to table minimum. Now at this point, maybe they're going to a mid-press strategy. Hopefully they're going to a mid-press strategy, okay? But that's 2 hits. So on the third hit, they'll collect $23 and they'll press it up to 42. If we're doing a mid-press, they'll press it up to 42. If we're doing a power press, you know, the same things would occur as far as the differences between a mid-press and a power press with a regression, or a mid-press and a regression mid-press, and a power press and a regression power press. So that's hit number 3. So hit number 4, going to go up to 60. Hit number 5, they're going to go to 90. And hit number 6, 150. All right, so let's take a look. So with this regression strategy, 6 hits on the 6, they would have $454 in their bankroll. That sounds up in their rack. That sounds pretty good, except they started with 180 plus another 150 here. That's 330. They started with $380 in action. $380 devoted to this shooter. That means that they have $94 in profit. $94 after catching a fairly exceptional roll. I mean, 6 hits of the same number is really damn good, right? If you extend that out to 7 hits, 8 hits, you're still not looking at exit strategy money. Now let's look at a mid-presser. We'll use the 8 for an example. Let's look at a mid-presser that does not regress and hits 6 times. Okay? So go to 120, which is kind of a conservative mid-press, but why not? Then they'll go to 150. That's hit number 2. Okay? Hit number 2. So hit number 3, take it to 210. Hit number 4, take it to 300. Hit number 5, 450. And hit number 6, go to 600. So 6 hits of the same number. And this player has $1,030 in their bankroll. Now, again, they started out with $380 in action, right? That means they have made a $650 profit. On a $1,000 bankroll, $1,000 initial buy-in, they have made $650 in profit. Depending on where they're at in their bankroll, how deep they've already had to dig, they could very well be at walking away money, could very well be at exit strategy money. If not, the 7th or 8th hit is probably going to put them at exit strategy money, whereas the regression is not. And that's the problem with regressions. Regressions are not trying to win, they're trying not to lose. And these players almost never hit a big enough win. Whereas a mid-presser can get out of the game with a nice, tidy little profit on a 20 to 25 minute roll. A regression strategist needs a 45 to 50 minute roll. I see that once a week. I see a 25 to 30 minute roll every night. Sometimes 2 or 3 times in a night, but typically 1.5 to 2 times a night. But that 45 minute or longer roll, I see that maybe once a week. I've seen over an hour roll once in the last 2 or 3 years. Doesn't mean they don't happen, just during my shifts, my 40 hours a week. I just haven't been present for one. Okay, so let's take a look. So we did 6 hits each. Let's add 2 more hits. And let's see if the one that regressed has managed to hit the exit strategy money. So they're at 120 right now. So hit number 7, they're going to go to 150. And then hit number 8, they're going to go to 180. So now they have $729. So again, their profitability when they were $380 invested, 729, so that's what, $349 in profit? $349 in profit over their initial investment. That's definitely still not walking away money, especially if they were deep into the bankroll. They could still be in the red at this point. Whereas let's look at the mid-press. So they just mid-press, never regressed their bets. Okay, so 6 pays 7. Go to 900. Keep it conservative. I would be power pressing at this point, but go to 900. That's hit number 7, and hit number 8. You're going to go to 1200. So 8 hits, and they now have $2,180. That means they made an $1,800 profit over their initial investment in this shooter. They are guaranteed to be at walk-away money at this point, since they only started with a $1,000 bankroll. Even if they were down to their last pennies, they still made an $800 profit. This is definitely walking away money. So that's the issues I had with the Holy Grail strategy. There was between the field and the regression, didn't really feel like they were trying to win. It just felt like they were trying not to lose. So before we do the next strategy, let's talk a little bit more, a couple more facts about our charity subject this week. Okay, so like I talked about last time around, this time around I want to talk about people that are likely to be autistic and fictional characters, some fictional characters that are autistic or likely autistic. Hans Christian Andersen. Now this one, it's I'm not going to say controversial, but difficult because, one, he's dead, and 2, they're not so much using accounts of people around him and things he said, they're using his writings. Same thing as the reason that a lot of people think Emily Dickinson was autistic. They're using his writings and his style of writing and his visions and how, his worlds that he built and stuff like that to say quite possibly autistic. Because the way we see the world tends to come out in how we write too, especially if we write fiction. Tim Burton, quite possibly autistic. I can see that. Lewis Carroll. Now, this is an interesting one because Lewis Carroll was also thought to possibly have been a pedophile because he liked children. He really liked children. But psychologists and psychiatrists that have done research on Lewis Carroll and trying to determine whether or not he was autistic and believe he was autistic think that may have been it. He may have been autistic, not a pedophile, and he may have been on the lower functioning side of things, especially socially. May have been really, really bad socially to where he connected and identified more with children. He was better able to socialize with children. He was less awkward. He felt less uncomfortable. Maybe they laughed at him less. Because I will tell you, as someone that, again, I'm not diagnosed, but highly, highly likely that I am autistic. Yeah, people will laugh at you with things you say that you don't understand what's so funny about that. Like what you said is true. It's a fact. Like this is a fact. Why are you laughing at me? So they think that Lewis Carroll may not have been a pedophile. He might have just felt more comfortable with children. And because no matter how socially awkward an autistic person may be, they still want that human connection. They still want to socialize. They still want friends. They still want to be around people. You know, my son is autistic, and God, he loves people. He loves people. But his ability with the social cues, we see that sometimes where he's just so overwhelming that they don't want to socialize with him for very long. Another one, very likely, Bill Gates. But again, not confirmed. But he's got some interesting habits, not just his social awkwardness, but he also apparently has a habit of rocking when he's focused and concentrating, rocking a little bit. And we'll talk about that on the next break. We're going to be talking about a lot of the signs and symptoms of autism, or a lot of the things that occur. Steve Jobs. In his case, they go with, a lot of the social things, but the biggest one for him was lack of empathy. Plus a few other signs, because again, it's not just any one sign. Almost everybody has one or two of things that would be considered signs of autism. It's just in combination with multiple ones, plus typically some other disorders such as anxiety and such that lands people on the autism spectrum. Stanley Kubrick, yeah, pretty likely, I can see that. And Satoshi Tajiri definitely has issues with socializing, but it probably helped him create Pokemon. What about some fictional characters that are very, very likely to be autistic? Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes, the way he is portrayed by most actors or writers, for film and TV, I'm not saying Arthur Conan Doyle, but the way he is portrayed comes across as very autistic, especially the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock. I absolutely love that one, but absolutely autistic. Even some of the Sherlock Holmes variants, such as, say, House, Dr. House, yeah, he's probably autistic. Very high functioning, but probably autistic. Dr. Temperance Brennan from the TV show Bones. Absolutely autistic, and I actually have a problem with the portrayal of as an autistic person, her portrayal of autistic people, because, like I said earlier, one of the things that makes it difficult to diagnose adults is a lot of times they have very, very, very above average intelligence, and over time as they grow, it smooths out the signs, and a lot of the overt social signs of autism, because they are smart enough to adjust. Every time you interact with somebody and they laugh at you, or you get an awkward pause because of whatever, you remember it. You remember it clearly. Autistic people have fantastic memories. You remember it clearly, and the very next time you're in a similar social situation, you change it. Just and this applies for everything. Every time somebody experiences a loss, you say something that everybody looks at you like you are an asshole. Okay, so the next time you say something different, and everyone looks at you like you're an asshole. You remember both times, and you also remember what everybody else said. So the next time you just copy something somebody else said, and eventually you learn to mimic. You learn to blend, and in all honesty, it is extraordinarily difficult for an autistic person to succeed in life or really be independent in life without learning to blend, without learning to understand. And the way they portray Bones in the TV show Bones, she still at this point just not only doesn't understand, which we never understand. We honest to God, we never understand these things that other people understand. But we learn that we are the odd ones and that we need to change it. And we try and change it. You're not in your 30s going, I don't understand why they need to run off to the hospital because their family member's in the hospital. They're not the doctor. Like by the time you hit that point, you know why. You really don't understand it deep seated, but you know why, and you've learned to blend. So I really don't like that particular interpretation of an autistic person. But throughout media, there's all kinds of fictional characters that are very, very, very likely autistic. Anyway, let's go back into the next strategy. Again, I don't want to bore you guys, but again, please, if you guys can, donate all of it that, aside from the taxes I have to pay on it, will get donated to the Autistic Science Foundation. So this strategy that I came across is relatively basic, but interesting and definitely playable. And this is a strategy that you would use on a $10 table. You can always scale it up or scale it down. Tough to find $5 tables nowadays, but I have been told that some of the out-of-state tribal casinos still have the $5 table here and there. So you can find it in Vegas, but it's not easy. Some people think that the $5 tables will probably be making a comeback again in Vegas fairly soon. I don't know about that. I do not know about that. They will be found here and there, and the frequency of it may go up. But those casinos that advertised $5, $5 tables, $5 craps, $5 blackjack all the time, I don't see most of them going back to a guaranteed $5 table all the time thing. Some of them may never go back to it. Times have definitely changed. Just like the $3 tables went away, now the $5 tables are kind of going away. So we're looking at this as a $10 minimum bet table. So it's for after the point, and it doesn't matter if the point is an inside number. You're still going to bet the inside. And they do 44 inside, and then they do all the hard ways for $1 each. Now, the hard ways are an interesting bet. To me, they're a fun bet. To me, it's almost a side bet. I like to do the hard ways, but I do them as a parlay kind of thing, a parlay kind of thing. I'm not looking to collect the first time. I'm not looking to collect the second time, and I'm only looking to half collect the third time. So, if I have a hard 6 that rolls, I'm going to parlay to $10. If it hits again, I'm going to parlay to $100. Then if it hits again, I'm going to collect $800 and press it up to $200. But to me, to me, hard ways are a lottery ticket, basically. It's a scratch-off ticket. I'm hoping that they hit twice, but if they don't, they don't. Oh well. Especially on like the 4 and 10, you parlay to $8, and then it hits. I'm not collecting $56. Probably going to parlay it up to probably $60. Pull the $4 back, and then go from there. But here, what they do with the hard ways is even more interesting. They funnel it to the 6 and 8. Whichever one they feel like going to. There is no set strategy for going to the 6 and 8. They just funnel it to the 6 and 8 so they can press up their 6 and 8. The strategy here, they call it the Inside Blitz. And the blitz part comes with the press. They're trying to get to greens as fast as they possibly can. They want to just shoot up to green as quickly as they can. So they're going to do full presses. Now, they're not doing power presses. They're not throwing in extra money. So like a 6 and 8, they're going to collect the $2 and just press up to 24. Now, the second time around, that's when they're going to go ahead and come up to 30. Same thing with the 8. Collect the $2, press it up. And yes, I know I'm not putting this stuff where it should be. It would be back behind the pass line bet. I prefer to put things out here so that it's easier for me to break it down and show you guys the wins and what's going on. So with the 5 and 9, press all the way. In this case, they may throw in the $1 and just go to a green. I would. So it's only $1. Right? If any hard ways come down, they're just going to use them. Now, after this, after they have pressed up into a green, any individual number, they don't all have to be green, but as soon as one of them is a green, if that one happens to hit, like let's say 9 hits, then you expand out to the 4 and 10. Now, once you have done that, now they slide into a part of the strategy that I actually do not like. And I'm going to show you why. They go to collect and press. Collect and press. Now, I'll be honest with you. That's how I used to play. And when I used to play craps, before I learned how to deal it, and before I was witnessing 40 hours a week worth of craps rolls, at the minimum 40 hours a week worth of craps rolls, I used to collect and press, collect, press, collect, press. The weakness of it, not the weakness, but just the fact that there is a stronger way, never really dawned on me back when I was playing. So I'm going to show you why I'm not a fan of the collect and press. Right? So when you press, you are trying to double your bet. I'm going to pull this back just because I want to do 2 examples and I want to be able to show you guys how much each individual example will make. I'm going to take the 6 and I'm going to collect it, press it, collect it, press it, collect it, press it. Okay? So, the first time it hits, it's a collect. So they're going to collect $35. Second time it hits, they're going to collect $23. And they're going to press up to 12. Or press it up 12. Okay? So the third time it hits, that means they're to collect mode. 50 for 1. The fourth time it hits, I'm sorry. I was doing a mid-press, and I should not have been doing a mid-press. So, let me got the mid-press just buried into my head. I do not know why. So the first time, they're going to collect 35. The second time, they're going to collect 5. The third time, they're going to collect 70, so we'll do 75 for 5. So the fourth time, they're going to collect 10, and they're going to press it up to 120. That's 4 hits. The fifth hit, they're going to collect their 140, so 150 for 10. And hit number 6, they're going to collect the 20, and they're going to go up to 240. Okay? Now let's look at the 8, and let's mid-press it. But after 6 hits, be at the exact same level. So, the first time it hits, they're only going to collect $23 because they're pressing it up to 42. The second time it hits, they're going to go up to 60, which is exactly where the collect and press player was. Now the third time it hits, it's going to go up to 90. Man, I messed that up. We're going to go up to 90. The fourth time it hits, they're going to go up to 120. So hit number 5 here, likely going to go up to 180. And then hit number 6, and they're going up to 240. Now, let's take a look. So collect and then press, collect and press. 6 hits, $280 that they have collected, put in their rack. They're at a $240 6. Mid press, 6 hits, they're at a $240 8. They have $399. $399 versus $280. And that's why I got away from the collect and press. It favors you to put a little bit of your bet back into the bet itself. A little bit of your payout back into the bet every single time if you're hoping for more numbers. Obviously, if a 7 out comes, the one who collected everything instead of collecting partial, of course, makes more money right in that individual shot right there, but or the previous shot, previous roll. But overall, the player that is doing a partial press every single time, a mid-press, as long as they're hitting the same press on the every other, they're going to make more money. And this is just a perfect example of it right here. So that's my only real issue with the strategy. Otherwise, I like the strategy. I like the inside numbers. Inside numbers is a great way to play. You're playing half of all the combinations of the dice. You're playing more than half of all the non-losing combinations of the dice. You have the most common numbers to roll. The hard ways are not just a bonus or a side bet, but you're actually using them to slide into, to further press your bets, to blitz your way up to the green even faster, which I am a fan of, and then once you're at the green, you expand out. I mean, I like it. I do. I like the strategy. It's a fun little strategy. It's pretty cool. Now, before I go into the next strategy, let's talk a little bit more, a few more facts about our subject for today. Okay, folks, so for our last little cutscene, I suppose, on this month's charity, I can't call it a live stream now, like a restream, a refilm of the live stream, I don't know. But the last little cutscene of this one is going to be the difficulties of autistic people, some of the signs. Now, here's the thing. Most autistic people combine multiple symptoms, and this is not a comprehensive list by any way, shape, or form. The list is absolutely massive. These are just some of the more prevalent ones. Generally combine multiple ones of these along with other disorders typically paired with ADHD, anxiety, depression, things along those lines, although those last two could very well come from this social awkwardness. So some of them, one of the more common ones, especially for children, difficulty making eye contact, difficulty maintaining friendships. That's actually something Anthony Hopkins talked about in his. Obsessive thinking, pedantic, it also goes with obsessive thinking. That's something that unfortunately I very much show signs of. The difficulty maintaining friendships and the pedantic. When it comes to language and verbiage, I'm very pedantic. Something I try and stop myself from doing. Detail-oriented or notice odd details, things that other people don't notice. And unfortunately, that leads to some of the social awkwardness because you comment on things that other people start laughing, like, who sees that? Or why are you talking about that? It's something we noticed. Inability to understand social cues. That right there was the first thing that caught my wife's attention as hey, you're autistic, because I have a lot of trouble with social cues. And along with that one is inability to understand social rules. So autistic people already have difficulty with social cues, maintaining friendships, connecting with people, and then they don't understand the social rules, such as don't interrupt people, don't talk over people. That gives them difficulties. Also, problems with subtlety. And that comes from very literal thinking. Autistic people have a tendency to be very, 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 very literal in their interpretation of language, phrases, and words. That's why on the lower end, not the high functioning, but on the lower end, or with children that haven't experienced all the phrases and such, things like break a leg are very confusing to an autistic person. They just don't get it. Also, autistic people tend to have excellent memories for facts or details and a laser focus, but excellent memory for facts or details if it interests them. Other things they just won't remember. And sometimes odd parallels get drawn between a memory and something else. I've read some very fascinating stories about children that confused the heck out of their parents because they thought one thing always meant something different, and it's because they saw a video at one point. There's one about a golfer. This child would put on a hat and go, "I'm happy now." And that was their thing. Every time they put on a hat to show that they are happy now. And the parents were utterly confused until years later they were rewatching some videos they had of recorded sporting events and such, and they saw a golf tournament where the guy made like an eagle putt or something, and he tipped his hat to the crowd and then said, "I'm happy now," as he put the hat back on. And to the kid, those two things were connected. To the autistic kid, those two things were connected. I saw a meme a while back, and it was an autistic person wrote the meme, and what they were saying, I don't understand. People are weird. They say things differently than what they mean. They insist on gazing straight into your eyeballs. They have terrible memories, and the other person goes, "Well, why do they call you weird?" "Well, because there's more of them than me." And that is how some autistic people will see things. Like they don't understand why people have these odd things, why they say things they don't mean, stuff like that. Another one is sensitivity to sounds, textures, or light. That sensitivity can go both ways. They can either be hypersensitive or not sensitive at all. It's again not an absolute thing. If you've ever seen the movie The Accountant, he was definitely autistic. He was portrayed. He was written as autistic, and an interesting blend between high functioning and kind of mid functioning, because that hypersensitivity to sound and stuff like that he would train himself on and all that, that's definitely not the high functioning. There can be sensitivity to sound, but not quite at that level. Once they hit adulthood, they're not, the high functioning ones are not likely to hit these meltdowns anymore. Because they have difficulty with emotions, dealing with emotions, handling emotions, and not just bad emotions, not just sadness or grief or loss, stuff like that, but happiness, excitement. They have difficulty dealing with that, difficulty expressing it, difficulty dealing with it. They don't know what to do, and that's why autistic children can have these meltdowns that are just absolutely baffling. They can be violent, screaming, throwing things, whatever. And they lose all their language. They stop communicating. They don't know how. They can't deal with this emotion. And again, it can be on the positive end too. You know, my son gives us a lot of problems when he's extremely happy and it's time to go. You know, when we take him to something new and then it's time to go, that can be an issue. Because he's so happy and he's so excited and he doesn't know how to deal with it. And then you combine that with the disappointment of leaving and he doesn't know how to deal with that either. And it can get interesting. Strict adherence to routine. That can also look like OCD at times. The difference between OCD and a strict adherence to routine is that an OCD person needs this routine or this thing that they do. Because it can either be a routine, a series of things you do, or it could be one thing like hand washing or cleaning, right? An OCD person needs to wash their hands, or needs to clean, or needs to have this routine. An autistic person derives comfort from this routine and from this thing they do. And they get agitated when they don't have it, when it gets broken. But they don't need it, and that's the difference. Repeated physical behaviors, that's called stimming. And you see it mostly with children in the obvious things such as flapping. You see a lot of autistic kids that'll do this. Right? And it's when they're excited, when they're amped up and they need that stimulation, and that's why it's called stimming. Adults can have different things, whereas one person, might, just, be tapping the table when they're bored or, when they're in a meeting or something. An autistic person might be rocking, not even realizing it. They might be rocking. They might even be hugging and rocking. That's called stimming. There's so many different possibilities that can be very, very subtle as well. Autistic people can struggle to hold back and forth conversations. That is definitely something I have trouble with. And again, it comes from the lack of ability to recognize social cues, recognize facial expressions and emotions, and also just not understanding when somebody says X, the typical response is Y or Z, and then you lead off with B, and just don't understand it, so the conversations can die because we don't know what to say, or autistic people may just completely talk over you. Lack of empathy. Now, lack of empathy can seem cold-blooded at times. There's two stories I'll tell you that I read about and I'm sorry this one's going long, but I'm almost done. Two stories I read about autistic children. These are real stories from parents. One of them, the mother is changing a light bulb in the kitchen. She's on a step stool. She slips, she falls, and lands on her back. And we've all done that at some point. Knocks the breath out of you. It sucks. So she's laying there kind of gasping. And her son, who's, I want to say, preteen, comes walking in and sees his mom on the floor and just goes, "Hi, Mom," steps over her, goes to the fridge, opens it up, and grabs whatever he was grabbing. Nothing connects in the brain other than, "Oh, my mom's in the kitchen." That was it. Right? That lack of empathy. Another one was a father who was doing something and slipped and caught his foot and either sprained or broke his ankle. And the child started laughing. It was a younger child this time, started laughing. And the mother was horrified. Like, "Why are you laughing? Your father hurt himself." And the kid's response is, "Daddy's jumping around making funny faces." That's what the kid saw. Again, can't make that connection, that empathy of the pain. Just sees the funny faces and the jumping around like a clown or like entertaining and is laughing because Daddy probably jumped around and made funny faces to make the kid laugh at some point. So lack of empathy. And that is one that autistic people really struggle with, even later in life. Can seem blunt or rude, and difficulty with social rules, which I already talked about. So there's a lot of different things. Now, most autistic people have a blend of them. And again, as they get older, they learn to mask it a little bit. They learn to hide it a little bit. So thank you guys for bearing with me on this stuff. This, again, is a subject very near and dear to my heart because of my son, and because possibly I'm in it as well, but mostly because of my son and other people I know. Off the top of my head, the more I did this research into autism, the more books I read about it, and the more I looked into it, the more I was identifying more and more people that I know, that I interact with all the time, that are absolutely guaranteed to be on the autism spectrum. They're successful, very successful in life, and I see these signs, and so it's out there. It's very, very prevalent. And the more we understand it, the better we are able to help people with it. I know one person that really irritates people, that now that I understand and realize where he's at and where he's coming from, I'm able to interact with him a little bit better, make it a little bit easier for him when I do interact with him. So thank you again, everybody, for bearing with me. Let's go into our final strategy, and thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all. So this one I found on the internet called the Sleeper, and they start with a $1,000 bankroll, and it's a pretty cool little strategy. It's very, very similar to the funnel strategy that we have featured in the past. It's a cool little strategy. I like it with one little caveat. There's one small thing I'm not a fan of, and that's because they have a regression in it. But otherwise, they start out with the inside, which is always a strong way to start. Okay, you've got half of all the combinations of the dice right here. You've got over half of all the non-losing combinations of the dice. So it's an excellent, excellent starting strategy. If you're going to expand out or even mid-press, some people will only play the inside numbers. Cool. Some people play the even numbers, 4, 6, 8, 10. That way they have the two most common numbers and the two highest paying numbers. Also a pretty cool little strategy. Now, the thing about this strategy is their focus is right here. Their focus is on the 5 and 9. Their goal is to get the 5 and 9 to a black as fast as possible. And this is where I actually think they make an error. This is how they do it. If any number hits, regardless of the number, they all pay $35, right? So they're going to throw in $1. So they're actually $111 invested here, right? So they get their 35. And now what they do, they come down over here to 18 each, 6 and 8. They collect $30, and they press the 5 and 9 up to 40. Here is where I think they make an error. First off, I'm not a fan of the regression. You guys already know that. But if you are going to regress, because your plan is to try and get the 5 and 9, they just want to put some money in their bankroll. Right? They want to put some money back up in the bankroll. Okay, I mean, if that's really what you want to do. But to me, this gives you an opportunity. If you did not regress, you would have to bring your 5 and 9 up to $40 each. But once you regress, it doesn't make sense to go to $40 each because your goal is to get to a black as fast as possible on the 5 and 9, right? Well, $40 pays $56. That means that you have $96 to work with. That is not a black, but you were right flipping there. You were right on the edge of hitting it. So what stopped you? Why didn't you make it to the black? Because you just went a little too light. Instead of racking $30, they should have racked $20 if they were going to regress, and brought their 5 and 9 up to $45 each. Now, if they had not regressed, they would have had to bring them up to 40. They wouldn't have had enough without throwing more money in. But since they were regressing, they actually had a couple extra dollars to work with without having to throw more money in. So they might as well have gone to 45, because 45 pays 63, and you now have enough after 2 hits to bring it up. And it could only be 1 hit on that 5. Anything else could have rolled the first time, and you still would have gone to that exact same press of $45 on each one. So, and then from here, do whatever you want. you want to same bet it because you're making blacks every single time, by all means, same bet it. Go for it. Why not? Of course, you're making blacks, but, you're making $140, but your initial investment per shooter is $110. So, every hit is only giving you another shooter's worth. So I personally would say, start mid-pressing, do something else. Because if you're pulling back blacks and you happen to walk into a 30-minute roll here, you're going to feel kind of silly when you're coloring up, $1,000, $1,200, and everyone else is coloring up $3,000, $4,000. So of course you want to try and do a little bit of a press, but overall, you can do whatever you want. Stay to black, collect it a few times, regress it, turn it off, whatever you want to do. It's entirely up to you. It's your bet. Do with it what you will. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, folks. Thank you guys, everybody, for watching. I apologize for those issues that we had with the live stream. I'm not going to do this, kind of refilm the live stream as a regular video thing every single time. But I wanted to give it another shot and give you guys a chance to partake. So, yeah. There we go. If you guys wish to partake and help out the charities, which would really hit me in the warm and fuzzy, since again this one is very near and dear to my heart, just either go ahead and hit that thanks button down below, or go to the Buy Me a Coffee website. The link is down below as well, and just put on there charity as the note when you're doing it, and we'll make sure that money is earmarked towards charity. Otherwise, thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate all of our fans out there. I love you guys. We will catch you next time. Bye now. Thank you everybody for watching today's video, and as promised, a little bit more detail on things that we are working on. So again, we want to continue trying to expand the channel. We're really hoping to be able to add roulette as soon as possible, and then some video keno, video slots, stuff along those lines. Unfortunately, it ate up almost all of our cash, paying off all of our bills during the month of January while we were down. And now that the holidays have ended, YouTube's payouts have dropped significantly. So we're kind of treading water here as far as all that goes. Do have a lot of things we want to add, though. Not just those things, those additional games, and hopefully some carnival games and such like that. But the live streams. The biggest problem right now with the live streams is with 3 jobs combined between the 2 of us, 4 if I include the 20 to 30 hours a week I'm putting into the YouTube channel. It's very, very difficult for me to have a day and time that I can commit to doing the live stream every single week, because we also have our very young child to take care of. But I'm trying to figure that out. I'm thinking it's probably going to end up being on Monday nights or Tuesday afternoons, or possibly both. I intend to do at least one live stream exclusively for our patrons, and then another one on the YouTube channel. So possibly both days. We also have a few other things that we really want to attempt to move forward on. I'm just running into either time or skill set issues. I do want to eventually have a website going for us. I did used to program websites over a decade ago. A lot of things have changed, and I just don't have that time. And not a whole lot of knowledge on the current state of building websites, hosting what sites can host, and how to build up the e-commerce stuff. So if anybody has any skill sets along those lines and would like to answer some questions or just help us out, shoot us an email, sincitylivingLV@gmail.com. Also, I really hope to be able to start adding some exclusive stuff from Sin City Living, logoed shirts, hats. I'm looking to get custom dice made, even custom layouts made, although those would be pretty expensive. But I know zero about e-commerce and drop shipping and anything along those lines. So if you have any skill or knowledge in that area, please email me. I would love to ask you some questions and see if you can answer a few to help me figure out how to get that going. Same thing with designing our logos. I had some logos designed, very, very small logos, unfortunately, not big enough to blow up to put on t-shirts and stuff like that. And again, I know I know nothing about logo design, graphic design, any kind of websites that could do it. I literally know nothing. So if you have any skill or knowledge in that area also, please email me, and you're willing to answer some questions, please email me and let me know. I'll admit I don't even know where to start as far as asking some questions, but I'm sure I'll ask a few, and that'll trigger a few more, so on and so forth. So yeah, there's that, and of course we do hope to continue to improve our AV setup, but I am an AV moron, so also right there, if you have any skill sets or knowledge in that area, please email me, and are willing to answer some questions. Please email me and let me know. We would love to help. Otherwise, again, thank you everybody for watching, and we're very excited to continue bringing you our videos. Bye now.